Hello there, and welcome to the CP7 podcast. My name's Palm.
And I'm Andy.
And together, we are Chrono Passion 7. Hello, and welcome to your favourite watch-related podcast. It's that time of year, it's the end of the year, it's Christmas, the festive season, where everyone just kicks back, relaxes, parties, has a few drinks, probably eat too much, and just talk watches. Talking of watches, Andy, what have you got on your wrist?
Today I am wearing the Atelier Wen, the Millésime, which was sent to both of us for review. It's finally made its way from London over to Barcelona, and it's a great looking piece, as always, with Atelier Wen. A beautiful purple hand guillochade dial, so some fantastic detailing, as always, and it's in titanium this time. It's a limited run, and yeah, we're going to get into the watch probably in more details on the future show with the guys from Atelier Wen, so with Robin, of course, so watch this space. But take a closer look at this piece over on our website. So go to www.chronopassion7.com, where you can really appreciate the finer details on this piece, because there's some beautiful polishing all around the case and around the bezel of the dial, which really impressed me on this, matched with some nice brushing. So yeah, a great piece. That's all I'm going to say for now. And we'll get more into the depths of it in a later show. But Palm, eagerly awaiting, what are you wearing today?
First of all, yes, check out the website to see photos of the Atelier Wen and of what I'm wearing. So today I am wearing my Rolex Explorer 214270, the Explorer 1 as some call it, the 39mm. A watch I wore for the whole of January, and with January coming up, I'm wondering if I should do that again. So watch this space for, I might try another watch, but that's what I've got on my wrist, my 39mm Rolex Explorer. Andy, what are we talking about on this very, very festive show?
Today, we're going to recap a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the highlights for us, so some favourite moments throughout the year, with it coming to the year closing as well. It's always nice to reflect on some of the highlights. Then we're going to pick out some watches of the year. So some top watches, what really stood out to us this year, the favourites from all the pieces we've seen. Cover some of the top stories. There's been many different kind of, let's say, phases within the watch industry throughout this year. So it's kind of fun to reminisce what kind of crazy year it has been within the watch industry. I'm going to round up with some watch goals. What's the next watch? What Palm's picking up? What could I be swapping all my watches for next, most likely? And then we'll finish with just some of our favourite shows, what we've recorded this year. So without further ado, I think let's get into some of this year's highlights for the podcast.
Highlights.
Yeah, what's
the highlights
what stood out to you, Pam? What is it? It's crazy, right? When you think of all the things we've done in a short space of time, almost.
Having the podcast for a whole year, so we're over 12 months now. We're probably about 14 months now. So that's a massive highlight. Yeah, hitting 1 year old. Now we're now 1 year old, and getting some merch made as well. The straps, which have been selling well, made by REM Straps, Totte from REM Straps in Sweden.
Big shout out. Yeah, only 2 remaining. So if you are interested, send us a message and we'll see what we can do for you.
Yeah, so you can get you one of those. So getting merch made, hitting a year, 40, this is our 47th show. I mean, this is the time to look back, and it's quite a lot to look back on. It's been through many transitions, shall we say, during the year. Starting off, I mean, I can't even listen to the older shows, but it's when I listen to them, I just think, oh my God, look how it's changed. It's changed so much, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe everyone else might think, no, it's exactly the same. But no, it's going well. It's going in the right direction, and we're doing the right things. But yourself, go on, Andy, tell me a couple of highlights from yourself.
I think rewinding to the very start of the year, we started off with quite the buzz, I would say. Reason being, it was our first attempt at getting into Watches and Wonders. And it's no easy feat, let's say, to do that. It's a challenge. Obviously, to buy tickets at public days is not, but to get in on the press days was always a dream of ours, which we did manage to pull off this year. And I just remember the whirlwind of that whole process and the buzz we got once we finally got that access. It felt kind of surreal. And I think that's probably one of I'd say my proudest achievement for us and for myself, like hitting that goal, being in what they call the touch and feel sessions. Explicit, don't go on the website for that. And
don't check out the X-rated version.
Yeah.
On the dark web.
But to be in the presence of our idols, I would say, is probably the best. The people who we look up to in the industry, to be in the same room as them and just seeing what it was like for the first time was just, an experience I will never forget, and something I'm really grateful for. So I'll kick it off with that. That's one of the top highlights for me, was being invited officially to Watches and Wonders and getting that access. That was incredible, I think.
Yeah, that was very special. Big. Looking back again, you're pinching yourself to say, hang on, did that really happen? And next year, you never know. We could be doing it again. Could be doing it all over again. And that's something to look forward to. But following up on what Andy said about Watches and Wonders, we did in 2023, we did Geneva Watch Days. We went in there very wide-eyed, very green, very not knowing much about anything about the industry and who was who. And we just kind of got there, absorbed what we could, spoke to who we could, and went. It was a great time. But this year we went, and it was a completely different experience. We were part of the furniture at one point. We felt part of it all. And the number of people we met and have subsequently spoken to, who we met virtually as well. This is the funny thing. When you go to these places, most of the people you will have met previously will be online, on Instagram, or via email or WhatsApp. And to actually hang out with them, have some beers, have a meal, just socialize and mingle in that crowd was that's probably the funnest part. I'd say Watches and Wonders, I know Andy totally agrees with this. Watches and Wonders was the big achievement. This was the podium moment. But Geneva Watch Days was the real party. That was the real fun, the fun time.
Yeah, almost too much fun. I think
almost, was too much.
Well, was. I wouldn't have it. Like, everybody else is in the same boat. Well, you look at every other person's face, and they're going through the same pain pretty much. It's a lot of fun, and it's kicking back, mingling. Like we've mentioned this on previous shows, you're just in the big tent, right? Every night, pretty much, at the parties, and you're just rubbing shoulders with fellow journalists, CEOs of some incredible brands, and it's just, you feel like you're part of a real community, right? And I think that's the thing with maybe the differences. Geneva Watch Days is feels a bit more intimate, cozy. Watches and Wonders feels like that bigger, kind of serious watch event, right? But both brilliant in different ways, right? I think also a highlight for me, touching on Geneva Watch Days, is just seeing our progression from the first Geneva Watch Days and who we are at this one. I won't go too much into detail on that, because hopefully people who are listening can hear the difference on our first Geneva Watch Days show to this one. But it's crazy to see that journey and what we've done. Like, within that time, we didn't know 100% what we were doing, if we were going to do a podcast or YouTube or what, to suddenly having a platform, having our own domain, our own website, with plans to expand up on that in the new year, of course, as well. It's just phases, right? And we're going through these motions, and it's been an incredible journey. But beyond that, beyond the big shows, was there any other key highlights within this year? What really stood out to you?
I just want to say, before I go into that, is if you want to hear a comparison of the two, listen to episode 2, which is 2023's Geneva Watch Day show, and then check out episodes 36 and 38, which cover off 2024's and the difference in what we did and how we enjoyed it and how we've progressed. Give them a listen. Episode 2 episode 36 and 38. If you want to see, or if you want to hear exactly what we're talking about, just check out those shows. Other highlights, just meeting people. I tell you what, it's been the last few months. It's been since Geneva Watch Days, actually. It's been this wave of watch events and meeting watch people. So I remember at the beginning of the year, I used to say, well, I don't really know that many people. I don't know that many enthusiasts around it. I know, people to say hello to and stuff. And then come the end of the year, my God, the crew that I know now are just the best. They turn up to all the events. There's always something new to talk about. It's like, for me, getting to know the Red Bar Southeast and the Red Bar London crew, who are top notch. It's just that, again, to me is a huge highlight. And long may it continue. I've been doing two to three events a week. I'm just knackered. I'm burnt out at Christmas, at party time. I'm already done. I was telling a friend of mine who is one of the watch guys, I was saying to Faisal, I'm done. I can't go out anymore. No more watch events. I can't do it. But yeah, to me, getting involved with watch people, and then also meeting a lot of the Fratello guys, Mike, Balaj, and they're like friends. It's bizarre. People that you would listen to in a podcast, the Fratello on air podcast, they do that. And now I see them at most. I definitely see Mike Stockton at a few events. The journey of starting off not knowing many people and getting to know a lot of people who are really into it is a big highlight for me. And Andy, I suppose with the Red Bar Barcelona, you've got all that already.
Yeah, we don't have as many celebrities with not being a capital, of course, but we have, well, maybe it's legends. It's certainly legends within the.
Well, they've got
Red
you,
Bar.
haven't they? You're the celebrity, aren't you?
Yeah, like, it's some legends within the Red Bar group, and they know who they are. Like we have the inner tribe, and you know them as well as I do, Pam, from the Zenith trip, of course. But yeah, speaking on that side, like the Red Bar here has grown ridiculously larger in recent months, I would say. So a lot of hard work from not just myself, but the inner team, if you like, on just making it run smoother. One thing you notice, you can't do it all by yourself, so it's great. Shout out to Aven, who puts in a lot of work in helping keep the ship sailing smooth while I'm busy doing all the podcast stuff as well. But yeah, it's great, and similar to you, Pam, it's just having that kind of watch family to hang out with, where you just feel at home when you're just chilling with the guys. I always learn from them as well. Like their knowledge is ridiculous, and I know some of the listeners of our show, like mostly Movado, knows that. Of course, if we're talking,
shout out to Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence. Yeah, if we're talking about Alfonso, for example, a great member of our group, like his knowledge all the time, he has really unique pieces. I can drop the details to his site. He sells a lot of incredible pieces, but I learned so much from it. I'm always curious. He's always got these really unique pieces, and I'm always tempting pieces as well. But I always learn something new, like a piece of history what I had no clue about, and not just from Alfonso, but other guys in the group. But it's something what I love about it, because it's like a school day as well, right? You're always learning, and it's stuff I wouldn't normally learn about or look to discover, because when we're doing what we're doing on the podcast, we're trying to stay with relevant news and information as well, right? So with the gang here, a lot of them are very vintage, let's say inspired collectors. So I get to learn a lot about watch history as well, which is good. It rounds me up quite nicely. So yeah, but podcast highlights, I'd say it's the shows for sure. And then there's also some epic interviews, but we save that for a later segment maybe. But there's been some interviews what we've had on the show as well, which are equally some highlights of the year, I would say, for myself at least. And I'm sure for Palm as well.
Yep, that's all coming up later in the show. So let's talk about... actually, hang on. The biggest highlight is my glove collection has increased an untold number of times. It's I started off with a couple. Now I'm up there with I've got Hermes, I've got Vacheron, I've got Barveleuber, who gave me a very special presentation, and my cap collection. I have got my Grail cap, which is a Breitling cap, which I'm wearing on this show. So yeah, that's obviously the biggest highlight.
The ongoing glove collection. The Grail hat for me is a Rolex cap, but to be gifted one from Rolex, that's the goal.
Yeah, I don't
And not
have
for
one. I got this
purchasing a
from
watch,
Breitling.
just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Here you go,
it'd be
Andy. You're
nice.
a celebrity in Barcelona. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one day. So let's maybe transition then into some of our favorite watches of this year, and let's kick it off with you, Pam. What's like as many watches? I know we've done a little short list each, but what's one of the top watches this year? What stood out to you? What's your favorite, actually? I know that's a horrible question, but do you have a favorite, or do you just have a selection what you like all kind of equally for different reasons?
Favorite's tough. By the way, as it's a Christmas show, it's festive. We've all got a glass of something. So I'm having, because I'm in cold London, I'm having a nice glass of red wine, Malbec. And he's in Barcelona. He's having a nice cool beer, obviously,
Yeah,
because
I'm
it's
under.
40
Classic
degrees up.
Canya.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought I'd get that in if we do sound a bit drunk by the end of it. My favorite watch. I've got a few. I can't, again, it's never easy to pick one. And there's all for different reasons. So I think the most jaw-dropping watch that was released and actually was fortunate, and we were both fortunate enough to see, was the Daniel Roth Tourbillon, the relaunch of Daniel Roth. It was an amazing event that LVMH put on, and they invited us to. And wow, that watch was something else. I like Daniel Roth. I've always thought if you're going to have just one dress watch, a Daniel Roth could possibly be that one because it's got an iconic case shape. It's recognizable. We did a show with RJ Breur from Fratello, and we talked about watch icons and watches that you can recognize from the other side of a room. And I think a Daniel Roth watch is one of those because of the unique shield case shape, and obviously normally in a precious metal as well. And this one didn't let anyone down. It was a tourbillon. The price is astronomical. It's something I'd never be able to afford. I felt blessed to actually be able to try it on, and it is my favorite watch. If there was a watch that if I had all the money in the world, which one would I get? It'd probably be that from this year's releases.
Nice. Yeah. No, that's an incredible choice. You've set the bar quite high. Coming in from a different angle, but I know it's a brand we both, let's say, regard very highly, would be Chapek. And the piece for me was the Promenade, and it's the Goutte d'eau, I believe is how you pronounce it. Drop of water is the translation. And it's the beautiful enamel dial where basically you have this ripple effect going from the off-centered seconds, milliseconds, subdial, and it just looks really pure and eye-catching. And it's a piece when I'm always going through all of the pictures in my phone from, like, pretty much my phone is just dominated with pictures of watches these days, that and food pictures. And I see that every time, and I'm like, yeah, I really like that. I like it for a few reasons. One was just the beauty of the watch and the vision, especially when you speak to Xavier and the passion he has, right, and the creativity and vision he has behind the pieces, and the way he tells you about it, you get into the watch even more. But what I loved about this when speaking with Xavier is when he mentioned he wanted to make it accessible, and it's not always that is the case, and he made it this piece in particular with a steel case in order to help keep the price more obtainable. And that's something what I really appreciated, because you could see he's like, I want to create something beautiful, something amazing what captivates the wearer, but I want to make it so it is something what is achievable, as sometimes a really fancy enamel dial is from a brand such as Chapek could be completely the other direction in white gold, yellow gold, and then it runs away from most people. So the fact that he had the focus of making it obtainable using steel, it looks amazing on the steel bracelet as well. I think it's a really great piece. So for me, that's probably my favorite of the year. Yeah. I think price wise, don't quote me on this from memory, it's around 18K, I believe. So it's still up there, but for an enamel dial for what it is, I think it's quite good value.
Beautiful watch. Really, really nice. Chapek, they're making some incredible pieces that just they sit in their own little section, I think. Because the Antarctique is the one that everyone's going for, but then the other, like the Gauteur, like you say, that's the real Chapek, the real watchmaking that they are behind. So let me see what else. Affordable watches. My favorite affordable watch was the Oris Diver that was released at, I think it possibly because it reminds me of Geneva Watch Days. It was released at Geneva Watch Days. Partially it reminds me of the amazing time we had with Rolf and Inan, who were presenting Oris and their novelties and talking Oris at the show, at their stand, or in their room at Geneva Watch Days, to be fair, because it's in a hotel. I've probably banged on about this many times in the past, but Oris is a brand. My first ever watch when I started working was an Oris. I'll always have a soft spot for the brand, and I will always keep an eye out. And this is something that I will get one day. At the moment, I've got my eye on a couple of other pieces. I did want this, but then I thought, right, there could be. We'll talk about watch goals later. It's the LFP limited edition with a petroleum blue dial. It has water resistant written on it, but that's something that would normally annoy me. But the fact that it's all multicolor is what gives it, and it's a childlike handwriting. That's what they described that as, and even the Oris logo is almost like a childlike handwritten scrawl. It's because some proceeds from the watch will go to help out underprivileged children in France. It's sponsored by the Football League in France, and so there's a football connection. There's some real good work going on to help out underprivileged kids, and it's just a really cool watch, really easy to wear. 38 millimeter. Some watches you connect with instantly, and this is one of those. There's nothing I can say that's so really outstanding about it. It just, for me, I tried it on and I just thought this is just something that is very difficult to take off my wrist. There's a real connection with that one. So that's and you can get that for, in pounds, £2,150. So in this game, that's not really much.
Yeah, very, very accessible. A beautiful piece as well. And I agree, it's not one you can quite put your finger on as to why, but when you put it on the wrist, there's something quite special about that one. I think it's the playfulness. It's very funky, fresh. So there's a few more, but one of which is maybe, I think everybody has this. I know Palm does as well, but Panerai, a brand what kind of was super popular, right? And then it goes off the radar and it's not as cool now, but then for me, that makes it cooler because of that. And it's a watch I've always toyed with the idea of owning a Panerai. And I've had people mention that I should be a Panerai guy. It's kind of a watch what would suit me.
Do you want to tell everyone the story? Why you should have it?
No, yeah, maybe not. But it's a cool style, right? Kind of action, like and yeah, one of which anyway, getting onto the watch itself is the new submersible which was released this year, the Luna Rossa edition. I just thought it was really cool. It had a beautiful sunburst, kind of bluey, purple-esque hue to it, and yeah, I just thought it was cool. And with America's Cup being hosted here in Barcelona, I think it got me even more into that watch more recently, just because I got really sucked into the America's Cup. Not so much with Luna Rossa, actually, I'm sorry. More with Ineos, so there's no watch brand, I don't think, associated with the Ineos team. We need to sort that out. I think they're like Belstaff. Yeah, some really nice clothing brands in the UK, but no watch brands. So we need to sort that out. But yeah, the Luna Rossa, just because of that connection with the Cup, what I was really enjoying being hosted in my new hometown, let's say. And yeah, I just think it's a really cool watch. And yeah, I've got a bit of a Panerai bug, which might go to watch goals a bit later. But I think everybody has that bug. I know Palm's had it as well. It just creeps in every now and then. But
yeah, Panerai is awesome.
Really cool brand, right? So what's next?
What is next is I've run out of wine, so I'm just going to nip off and top my glass up. So we'll just have a quick pause.
Yeah.
Right, I'm back, fully topped up, fully stocked up. My final pick of 2024 has to be the Nevada Grenchen F77 ceramic with the meteorite dial. Now, this watch might seem quite basic to a lot of people. It's a Genta design. It's just another brand that's just going down that road. But when I saw this at Watch Pro, I was blown away because it's 37, 38. It's not a big watch. Fits so well. It's ceramic. It's meteorite. Genta-esque design. That's not why you're really getting it, but it's just such a cool looking watch with that ceramic and the meteorite. And for just over £1,000, it's a steal, I'd say. In this, you have to caveat, in this game, that's a really well priced watch. Having seen it in the flesh, I was highly impressed. Again, this is you start thinking, oh, I'm going to buy this one, and I'm going to buy this one, I'm going to buy that one. This was on my list. The Oris was on my list. This was on my list. Hence, we're calling them out. The Daniel Roth Tourbillon, not so much because I probably have to sell my house. But that one is definitely one that really caught my eye. And I could talk about it a lot more, but I think we need to move on. But that was my final pick of 2024.
Yeah, it's a great choice. I won't add too much more, but maybe it comes to stories. Actually, I think that will tie into stories quite nicely a little later. But I think just to touch on that price point, what you mentioned there, is one of the most competitive this year. Like this year, it's gone bonkers in that. Let's say that below anything between like 900, let's say, let's say like 600 to 2.5K, 3K range has just gone nuts lately.
Yeah.
So much. That's the most competitive area of the industry at the moment. Like, is really picking up. So let's choose something completely out of that on my side. So it's hard to narrow down the list because there's been a lot of great releases this year. And I've had to think hard for my final choice, but probably linking back to Geneva Watch Days, my first experience with Armin Strom, and they released the new Resonance, and it was just to see that watch in action, the beautiful detail into the dial, and just seeing how it worked and seeing the evolution from the first edition, which was huge, like a monster on the wrist, and how they've evolved into the new form factor, which was below 40mm. I think the previous version was like 55mm or something crazy, maybe even bigger. So the fact that they evolved that into such a smaller form factor, and in which the beauty they did that in, it was a really good first impression, let's say, of experience at independent watchmaker. And yeah, I'm definitely a fan of Armin Strom after that experience, and I think that's probably one of the coolest watches I've seen this year for sure.
Yeah, that is it's amazing, especially the story behind it as well. I remember when you came back from Geneva Watch Days, I had to leave a day early. You spent quite a bit of time with Gurik from Armin Strom, and I had no reference, just some photos, and I was like, okay, it sounds okay, but I think I really need to see them. And I was lucky enough to see them in London. There was an event on. You weren't wrong. This Gurik was very cool, obviously, and the watches were just... When you talk about MB&F and de Bethune, and it was kind of that level of artisan watchmaking. It wasn't just a regular watch. Yeah, I agree. I don't want to ponder too much.
Yeah, you can get deep into the technicals. Like it's not just the movement, like the dial itself. It had a beautiful kind of sunburst, like a chiseled enamel finish from memory. Like just really nice textures and, finishing overall on that piece. But yeah, let's not delve too much. I think we're going to do just a few quick joint shout outs of the pieces, what stood out, what we both kind of agreed on. And that leads us to our shortlist then, I would say, of the joint picks. So you've already mentioned the brand. Maybe we can start with de Bethune.
Where do you begin with de Bethune? There's something so special about this brand. If you get it, you get it. I mean, I can't get one again, but I understand why they're amazing. My favorite one was the DB28 XS Aerolite. which had, right, now this is going to be, it's a tricky one. Check out the show notes to see this watch. We have seen it in person as well, so we'll put our own pictures on there, not just stock photos. It's got a transitioning purple blue, almost rainbow, not rainbow, but the darker end of the rainbow, the violets and blues and purples set of hues to it, which transition as you move the watch around. It's got a wave dial, almost a random guilloche wave dial. It's not a regular pattern like a Seamaster Pro 300. It's a very random stormy ocean kind of surface on that dial. And to top it all off, it's meteorite. So you play with the light with the watch, and you look at the dial, and you actually see the geometrical crisscross characteristic nature of meteorite. And it's obviously going to be top quality. So you've got these amazing colors, this amazing texture, and then you've got this meteorite underneath, which you can play. You can just see it's there. It's just one of those, if you know, it's not just a regular dial. And the classic de Bethune shape with those slim lugs and that amazing Star Trek almost shaped case. That was my favorite off the de Bethune DB28. So Andy, you had your eye on another one, right?
Yeah, look, I love the Aerolite as well. But the DB28 in general, that whole family, I love, including the kind of blue from last year. Similar to the kind of blue, the XS Purple Rain was an incredible piece. Again, how they've done all the finishing, how it pops, how it looks on the wrist. It's like the kind of blue, but now a kind of purple, right? It just incredible. And then one what really stood out to me was the XS steel wheels as well.
If Prince was still alive, that would be the watch, the Purple Rain. It
surely,
would.
It would
crazy enough to be, and cool enough to be the watch he'd be wearing.
Come on, it's just the DB28 range. Just give me any, and I'm happy.
Yeah, anything.
The steel wheels has a nice, beautiful combination of mirrored polishing mixed with almost like probably more like Geneva striping, more like what you'd see on a movement, right? And some nice anglage around the central point of the dial, like the Star Trek-esque logo kind of pattern what they do on there. It looks fantastic, and you can really appreciate the level of detail and finishing what they can clearly do. And yeah, with again linking back to the Aero, like with that meteorite, how I don't even know how they did that, to be honest with you. Just incredible. De Bethune, just I think every year, for 2 years straight at least, have just blown us away each year. I think as simple as that.
Yeah, with similar designs. Similar designs, but very amazing. But yeah, sorry, Andy, you carry on, mate.
Yeah, no, it's that. I totally agree. Just, I say, DB28, any iteration is pretty much incredible, I would say, as a rule of thumb. Another joint brand which we really enjoyed was Hermes and the Hermes Cut. And for me, I let Palm say his piece on that, but for me, it was just the simplicity of it, like the pureness and crispness of the look of the cut. I just really liked the style. I liked how it had the crown at like 2:00. Just made it a little more interesting, a bit more funky. I'd definitely go for it on the Hermes orange strap, of course. And yeah, I just thought it felt quality. Really nice detail into the movement on the exhibition case back, and simple but cool looking case design. The cut I just thought was cool and simple as that. I just thought it was a cool piece. But yeah, I know Palm, it stood out to you as well, right?
Yeah, it's almost Hermes' version of the Explorer. I mean, the original was 36, and this is 36 mil, the case diameter. But this was actually set out to be for ladies, and the reception from men now that smaller watches have seemed to be becoming a lot more popular, and rightfully so. A lot of men are also thinking, like us too, are thinking this is a very cool watch, a very simple watch, very stylish. Dress it up, dress it down. It's what more can you say? It's Hermes as well, who do make really good watches.
Yeah, it's just cool. And yeah, we'll get the pictures on there. I don't think we got the picture of the movement, but the finishing on the movement is we'll find the picture, but it looks great. Just a quality watch.
Unbelievable finish with the H's, and just the finishing is superb.
Is a great piece. Let's say. So what do we finish off on then? What's the final cut of because we're doing a bit of a short list. We don't want the show to go on for hours, so
doing a bit of a long list.
We have 2 more brands, but we can only pick one. So I'm going to let Pam pick. I'll just pick what are you going to choose out of the 2?
Oh, I would say the Moser Dreamliner with the salmon dial. That Fume salmon dial is, it's like that. It's just, it's one of the most beautiful watches I've seen. When I look at that, I've seen it in real life now. Well, we saw it in real life there, and I've seen it since in the wild as well. And it just takes you away. What a piece.
You kept that on your wrist for quite some time. I remember that session. You really fell in love with it. I could tell.
If only.
For good reason.
If only I could get one.
Yeah. The Streamliner this year they knocked it out of the park, I thought, with these, again, with the more classic Streamliners with the new purple and green dials. What just beautiful kind of sunburst finish to them. Really almost neon-esque, just really popped. Really enjoyed them. I think purple maybe was the colour of this year, potentially, of 2024. And then there was I think it was more of a limited run, but a Streamliner as well. It was in solid rose gold. And I'll try to work it out, but it was like this limestone dial. Not limestone, but a stone what was lime coloured. And there was a really unique tonality to it.
It wasn't limestone. It wasn't scale. Lime scale.
It wasn't lime scale.
Lime scale. You won't find it in your tap. It was a lime, very, very, very lime.
I don't know what stone it was. I need
glowing. It was almost like that radioactive. You know, like in The Simpsons, at the beginning of The Simpsons, he throws that bit of metal and it sticks on his back. It's like glows almost. It's
exactly what. Yeah, but cool.
Quick honorable mention. Father Lober, the Chief Date. We both loved it. I loved the green. Andy loved the blue. Awesome watches.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. So let's move on. So that takes us then to some of the top stories. Take us back in time, Palm. Let's go back. What's happened this year? What are some of the big stories?
My favourite story of this year had to be the TAG Formula One Kith collaboration. Having owned the original Formula One back in the 80s or 90s. God, I was a very young man back then. The blue one, the blue plastic one. And it was really nice to see it back. It wasn't really nice to see the price, because I think they may do their own version soon. It's because Kith is a luxury street. Well, it's streetwear, but luxury streetwear. It's a high-end, high-price streetwear brand. But it was really nice to see those pieces again. And it kind of put eyes back on those watches, and it was a really nice bit of nostalgia for me. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that show, actually, what we did on that collaboration. Yeah, it was cool to see the Formula One getting some love, and for TAG to get some love as well. I think their brand, they're doing some things nice recently, and I'm hoping next year they keep on that trajectory. I'm quite into TAG Heuer lately, so yeah, let's watch his space. Let's see how they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that moment in time. It was fun. And it was refreshing. It was a nice breakaway from just constant Amiga Moon swatches. So that was nice. Another fun moment within this year, and another story, and just a buzz it felt like it came out of nowhere within the industry, was the Brutalist phase. I just remember this buzz going on around it, and for me it felt like it was Toledano and Chan who kicked that off with their B1, the Brutalist design inspired piece, very King Midas-esque design as well, and I think there was some honesty with those guys as well. I think that was a piece what they really appreciated, but wanted to create also a Brutalist inspired watch. And I just really enjoyed that moment. And I know AP came to market. Do you remember which one it was, Palm?
Woodmar Piguet, Brutalist Remaster 02.
Okay, yeah, I remember. It was brutal, really, because it was huge. It's huge, right?
It was it's big, yeah. The original was really dainty, and it protrudes out at the right where the crown is, and I think that's the whole Brutalist. Very great geometric 90-degree, lines, and it was this is big, and it kind of overextended.
Yeah, made
I
a
think.
bigger brutalist statement, let's say. But I think of some other brands toying with it. Was just suddenly, it felt like it was a marketing word. What came out of nowhere, it was just suddenly there. And I think there were a few brands toying with the idea, but it just felt like it was a fun little trend what came. And it's always fun when the watch industry gets shook up a little bit. Love it or hate it. When people are like, what is this, and what's this some new buzzword? It was definitely a buzzword, I think, for a few weeks at least.
I think there were watches which weren't even brutalist, but people were sticking,
Yeah.
new releases.
No,
this
exactly,
is brutalist.
yeah,
Just to, hang on,
exactly that.
this
Yeah.
is what everyone's doing. So let's throw brutalist into the
Yeah.
marketing literature.
It just came out of nowhere, and I think Toledano and Chan kicked that off, and then AP with their remaster, limited, right? It was only 250 pieces, so that's probably long gone now. I'd imagine that would be many of those available. But yeah, I remember it being people were really split on it, but it's kind of cool. I think the brutalist thing was kind of cool. Love it or hate it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had to look up what brutalist was.
What does it even mean?
1960 architecture, very straight lines, concrete, very good Eastern Bloc. That's what the kind of the design cue was. Very East Berlin kind of. The buildings were all very square, well, rectangular, very sharp edges. Yeah, like I say, very stony, very closed off. But talking of stone, I think the next trend just exploded even more than the brutalist phase, and that was your budget stone dial craze. Now, I think that's still going on because Zentier just released one the other. It sold out straight away. They released a malachite dial jumping hour, and stone dials seem to have just gone through the popularity of not so much buyers. I'm sure buyers are there as well, but the brands that are making stone dials and affordable brands. I mean, you're talking a few £100 for a very, very nice stone dial. And forget that you've got the movement and the case and all the strap, the bracelet, all that thrown in as well. So you've got, like Denison, I think, really took the watch world by storm this year. They may have, they are everywhere. Some people I know are kind of saying, wow, gosh, you just can't look up and some reference to Denison is being made. But I think what they did was incredible. A TV-shaped case, stone dial. They were doing malachite. They were doing tiger's eye, my favorite. Aventurine. I mean, they did the whole lot. And I actually think the first people to release it was actually Baltic when they did their city dials. They did the nice orange London one. I can't really remember the rest. Maybe I'm a London boy, so I'm only going to focus on that one. But it's still going on. That's the thing. That phase is still going on.
It's not ending. Bulova have now joined the forces of stone dials as well, I believe, recently. So yeah, ongoing. Are we going to get sick of stone dial? It's not just okay. There's been definitely a wave in the accessible price range, but also like brands like Chapek using Aventurine and Frederick Constant was also using Aventurine this year. Of course, Moser, we've already mentioned, we're using some interesting stones as well. So it just feels like in general, stone dials are making a bit of a comeback definitely in the accessible price point, but also in the bigger leagues as well. There's just a bit of a buzz around it, right?
Definitely. And talking of buzz, there's no one who creates a bigger buzz than ex-James Bond actor and star Daniel Craig with his Omega Revelation series. I mean, he started last year wearing that white Speedmaster, and then this year he's just gone completely off the chart with his with the Seamasters, the Bond inspired Seamasters with the mesh bracelets and the no date. I've got to say they've made some really good ones, but that again has just, every time Daniel Craig is out now, people are looking at his wrist, focusing in on Daniel Craig to see
His mole.
He was on there's a chat show here. Graham Norton, the chat show host, and he had Daniel Craig on last week. And I was looking, I couldn't make out what he had on, but I was just thinking, first thing I thought, forget him. What's he got on his wrist?
What's on the wrist? Yeah. That's it. Like all the red carpet events now, it's not celebrity fans. It's like watch nerds just trying to work out what's on his wrist. Yeah, great. I think Amiga are smashing it out of the park at the moment. I think the new Seamaster three-handers are fantastic. I love the titanium bezel, just all monotone. I think that's probably my favorite.
Two-tone ones, which we're not even sure of the details of those. Is it bronze gold with the green?
Oh yeah, the bronze. Yeah. It was a flurry, right? Yeah, they're really cool as well.
Flew in, yeah.
No, they're smashing it.
Yeah, and going one more thing about Amiga, I think that new first Amiga in space. If you can get over the faux patinaed indices, that is a seriously good-looking watch. Very nice.
It's a beautiful piece. And if you can't get over it, go for the new Pilot. The new Pilot looks fantastic as well, right?
Pilot as well. It's just
Yeah, the flurry just towards the end of the year. Like, maybe we need a dedicated show around all the new Amiga releases. Let us know in the comments.
Next year, let us know. Let us know in the comments on Spotify or on our website. Just let us know wherever you're listening. If there's a comments bar, please just put some comments in and let us know. Should we do a dedicated Amiga show? Because I love Amiga, Andy loves Amiga, and talking about watch goals, that will come up again. Yeah, so Amiga are doing some very, very good things. We're going to quickly touch on a couple of the other really big stories, which was obviously Thierry Stern and his comments on the Cubitus and the people who don't like it and who those people are. That was a massive talking point. Is there anything else, Andy, that you think that really stood out this year?
There was the whole Hudinky, with Watches of Switzerland buying them out. Yeah,
Watches of Switzerland buying them out. What does it mean for Hudinky? Yeah, because everyone was talking about they're out, they're on their way out. It's all over. Everyone's leaving. Jack Forster left. Tony Trainor's now gone. But then they got bought out. So let's see. It's an interesting one. We're not going to go into it too much. Like we said, we're just going to touch on that.
Yeah, it's a lot of talk. A lot of talk around Hudinky. A lot of talk, I know, around the limited edition pieces. Some people love them, some people don't. But again, we'll stay out of that one maybe. But that was definitely a bit of a hot topic. I remember it was definitely a trend of this year of Hudinky for sure. So I think that leads us nicely then into watch goals. And I'll let you go first, Pam, because I think you mentioned it with Amiga. So I'm sensing, could it be an Amiga next?
It's going to be an Amiga next. It has to be an Amiga next. Yeah, so we did talk about that in episode 29. Look that show up if you want to. Give it a listen about our watch goals. And I was talking about getting a Speedmaster. I thought I'd go over the whole Speedmaster thing, but I had a Speedmaster day date, the triple date as it was known. I moved it on, and there's a gap, there's a hole in my heart when it comes to my watch collection with the fact that I don't have a Speedmaster reference. And I think I was hoping it'd be this year, but I think next year is going to be the year where I right that wrong. And we've mentioned the watch. I'm not going to say exactly which one, but it's a variation of that watch we've mentioned today. It's not going to be the one we spoke about. Yeah, it's and again, this is second to there was a gap when I was missing my Explorer 2 so much, and then I ended up buying the Polydol, my only watch purchase of this year. I got the Polydol 216-570, and this is one of those moments where I need to right that wrong.
Okay, so watch this space then, but an Amiga incoming then, and certainly a Speedy. Gosh, for me, I'm all over the place. As you know, I'm pretty terrible with my watch journey and watches I want. One what is probably not so popular with much of a watch audience is Hublot. Classic Hublot, though, the old classics. Not classic fusion, just the OG Hublots from the 90s, right? Early 2000s. The Elegance range. If you've not seen them, check them out. But they do some beautiful chronographs, at least in my opinion. Maybe not everybody will agree. And yeah, they have some really cool solid gold pieces on the rubber, classic rubber strap, and just some popping dials like burgundy dials and like neon kind of blue. And I'll show Palm the neon blue one actually to see what you thought of it. And I think you were quite impressed with that chrono,
I
right?
was
It's a
impressed.
cool looking,
Yeah, a
yeah,
couple of pictures.
cool
It
looking
doesn't
watch.
look so good in a couple of pictures, but then when you see the good pictures, you get it.
Yeah,
It looks
I'll
good.
try find a decent picture of it to show. Yeah, you can pick these up for a reasonable price, and I know it's not to everybody's taste. That's fine, but it's something about the sportiness of having the clean, flat rubber bracelet what Hublot do with their classic case designs, which I like, especially in gold. Is that what I'm going to go for? I honestly don't know. There's definitely a bit of an Amiga bug going around as well in my red bar group. I'm seeing 321 Ed Whites everywhere, and
There's a
everybody seems
speedy
to
thing
have one
going on.
now.
Everyone's going
Yeah, there's a
speedy crazy,
speedy
right?
thing going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You try them on, and you like kind of fancy it as well. Heuer is another Heuer calculator. I think it's a really cool looking piece as well. So yeah, do I have a specific goal? Maybe not, but there's a few variants of different pieces on my radar at the minute. But where I'll end up, who knows? You know what I'm like. It could be anything.
It could be anything. It could be any time, and anything could go as well. Just another brand I want to touch on is a brand that's come to the forefront for me. My radar recently is Arken, and I met Ken from Arken, a British brand. The Alterum, it's called, and there's a purchase window for it, and it's just a lot of people I know talk about them. A few have actually bought them. And I'm seeing them now, and I'm just thinking for £600, it's such a unique design. You get a GMT, amazing textured dial. The movement is Myota, but for £600, and it's a modified Myota. But there's something about this watch. I don't know what it is. It's just caught me completely off guard recently. That could be one I go for as well.
Yeah, it's always so many temptations, right? I think that's
I
the.
mean, we could do a whole show on. We did a whole show on it, and we'll do another one. We'll do one in
Yeah,
June, halfway through the year. We're talking about where we actually got to from this point to where, did we actually get any
yeah,
of the things we said we were going to get?
yeah. It is tough. I honestly don't know. Like, sometimes I think I've worked it out, and then I see something completely different, and I want that. So, yeah, let's leave it at that. But it's a journey, a never-ending journey. I think Palm's a lot more calculated, a lot more precise with his collection and journey, as I'm a bit more scatterbrained and I lust, if you like, over watches and don't always buy them with the head. Just buy them. Oh, that's cool. I want it, and then regret it after.
I think you need to buy multiple watches. That's the
Yeah,
thing. And that
yeah.
capital, that's the
Got,
thing.
got
Releasing
to change
capital,
it.
that's the thing. Yeah, rather than having
Yeah,
a couple and moving them on backwards and forwards. If you had a few, I think
it's
that
better.
might
Yeah,
it maybe stop you have going all over the place as well, because you're thinking, hang on, no, I've got this, and okay, it's a completely
yeah,
different journey when you've got a core collection, and then you want to add to it, or maybe the core collection should stay really.
yeah,
I think that could be a trick.
yeah. Maybe, or maybe it's just a bigger revolving door. You never know with me, but yeah, I will try. I will try keep a more stable, let's say, core collection, and then have fun around it. But yeah, let's see. A lot happening in the new year, so I'm sure
Yeah,
there'll be some interesting pieces coming along the way for sure.
yeah. So we could both have speedies next year. You never know.
Yeah, could be Speedy Bros.
Yeah, talking of speedies, that nicely transitions us into our next part of the show, which is our favorite shows. And I think Andy's in complete agreement. Go on, Andy. What would you go for it? Tell me, what was your favorite show? Not favorite. All our guests were amazing. All our guests were amazing, and all our
Yeah,
shows
let's make
we
that very
love.
clear.
We're
Yeah,
very proud of all the work we've done, and we love all the people that have been on. But in
100%.
particular, is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, look, the show we did with RJ from Fratello was just superb. I thought the chemistry, the flow, it was just when everything aligns correct, you're all on the same kind of frequency, if you like. Just It was just a really nice chemistry. It was a really smooth flowing show. No real heavy thinking behind anything. Everything just seemed to flow perfectly. Also, one of the best performing shows as well. So maybe everybody else agrees, but I just really enjoyed that conversation, the camaraderie, if you like, the banter, and I just think everything was on point for that show. And I think Palm, you feel equally the same, right?
Yeah, I love RJ. He's just such a cool guy. Where he is in the journalistic side of the watch industry and how approachable he is, is just so amazing and refreshing to see. Most people are quite easy to approach, don't get me wrong, but with RJ, there's something else. He's just like a mate a lot of the time. He doesn't talk down to anyone. He doesn't make out he knows anything. He's got opinions. We all have opinions, right? That's the whole point. That's why we're doing this, because we want to share what we think and hear what you say as well. But he just, the banter we had, the fun we had, and the fact that he is Mr. Speedy and just talking about watch icons. Episode 40, by the way, if you haven't heard the RJ show, RJ Brewer from Fratello, check out episode 40. You won't regret it. It was just so much fun. And I still haven't figured out the pinion thing he was talking about on the Daytona. He said it's going to put you off. And I foolishly checked to see what it was. And I didn't see the unbalanced thing he said. But then that's RJ. He will always say, look, that's what I think. That's it. That's my opinion. Not you must listen to me. Because, I mean, he's the main man at Fratello, Europe's largest online journalistic watch platform. And he'll be back on in the new year or later on. Whenever we can get him on, it's going to be a treat because every time we speak to him, we've all met multiple times as well. So we always have a laugh, which is really good. But yeah, that's definitely. And for me, on a personal note, I started listening to watch podcasts in the pandemic. And the one I used to listen to was Scottish Watches. And we had Ricky from Scottish Watches, on as a guest. And for me, on a personal note, that was a big highlight because one, apart from the fact he talks throughout the whole show, but we had good banter with him. We had a good laugh. We talked on a level again. He's a good guy. We've met him a few times. And like I say, it was good to have the guy who inspired me on the show as a guest.
I think that was a big moment for you, right? Of like almost coming full circle to get Ricky on. Yeah, great show as well. Great fun. Just quickly, then some other top picks for me were both episodes we did with Nicholas from Fears. Just again, I think it's also seeing how our relationship has evolved with Nicholas as well, from the first episode to the second. Just how you just kind of opening up the person who you're interviewing, and you just suddenly realize there's this whole new layer of just excellent conversation to delve into. And that's why after the second episode we did with Nicholas, we're like, it's great having you on as Nicholas from Fears, but in the next, maybe the third iteration, come on as yourself, not representing Fears, and just getting some really nice watch talk, because his knowledge, his time and experience in the industry is just fascinating. And I'd love to pick his brains and just have just some good watch talk with him. It'd be great. So that's definitely a highlight for me, both EPs. But probably say the second is where we around the jumping hours, the New Brunswick jumping hours. I think that just really got into a nice flow as well.
Yeah, it's good. Nicholas was amazing. I love speaking to him and talking to him on WhatsApp, in the show, when we meet him, when we bump into him in the pub in Geneva. Episode 26 and episode 39, if you want to give that a listen, give both of them a listen, because it's rare. I mean, no, it's not rare. Those two shows are something, after we'd done them, I've learnt something different, or not just on watches, but just on how the industry works and the kind of person you have to be in the industry and how dynamic and creative you have to be. And I found Nicholas quite inspirational in the way he is and the way he can handle any conversation and have the knowledge behind it as well. So yeah, those two shows, like I say, check them out. You'll enjoy those if you haven't heard them already. But yeah, to be in them, they were great shows. And another watch brand guest we had, which I really enjoyed, was Jose from Isotope. And that was just a lot more relaxed, but fun, because Jose is such a warm person. He's from Portugal. He's got that Mediterranean warmth about him. He's like your friend. He's like your cousin or something. He's just, you talk to Jose, there's been no distance of time from between the times you've seen him. He's just a really cool guy. Loves watches. So passionate about what he's created, because he creates very daring designs and very different complications. He doesn't follow the trend, and he doesn't make a big deal out of it either. He's just a good guy. You talk to him, he'll talk to you on a level, and that's what I love about Jose. When we met him for lunch as well, and it was just, I've seen him at a couple of watch shows, but when we met him for lunch, that was a real eye opener to have one-on-one time with him. And yeah, definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, quite a special occasion that, and it's just, yeah, that lunch in particular, just again, spending more time with people, everybody just starts opening up, and yeah, you don't want the conversation to end towards the end, right? But unfortunately, it always has to, right, at some point. So then, probably one of the final picks from my side would be a recent show with Gaga Laboratorio with Mo Coppolietta. I think that was fantastic. I just liked, again, the finding out his mindset behind the brand, and I just thought it was very, in the world of an audio podcast, the way he described everything he was doing, I could visualize it all, like the touch of the classic Italian design and the Dolce Vita, right? Everything about it was just, I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed that show, and a brand what I actually really enjoyed when we got to try the Labour Matic over at Geneva Watch Days with the limited edition gang. That was a really cool moment, and it all kind of went full circle. So yeah, definitely an episode also on my highlight list of this year. So Palm, what's your final pick? What's your final highlight?
There's too many. There's so many. You mentioned the limited edition. We did a show with Pietro, amazing show on independent watches. We did a show with Thor Savabo from Hodinkee, Fratello, Time and Tide. Again, an amazing, really cool guy. Just people that you really get on with. But I'm gonna pick our show with Huey from RZE, because it was a very different kind of show. The work that they're doing, and the thing is, what people didn't hear is we had a long conversation with him previously, just as an icebreaker, just to get to know. We liked the brand, but we just wanted to chat, and he wanted to chat, and we started talking about watches, and we were talking about RZE. This happened in that conversation, the first conversation we had, and also after the show we did talking about RZE, we went back into collecting watches again, and we were again talking about Speedies. We were talking about Tudor big blocks. It was just such an amazing conversation with one of the main guys in a watch brand, and you're just, again, shooting the breeze on the level, talking watches. What are you adding next? What's the next one? And the Speedy conversation came up quite a bit, and the Tudor, and he's just a top guy, and what they're doing for the environment as well is I think that's very special. But there isn't one guest that I didn't enjoy at all. I mean, they're all, I think, with Nacho. Remember Nacho telling us this is the amazing thing, talking about photography on an audio only podcast. He smashed it. That was, I mean, the challenge that must have been. I mean, top marks to us as well for leading it. But it was just, I mean, that was probably the bizarrest concept, but I think it worked.
Yeah, it was great fun, and I think we can't close this without mentioning the episodes we've done, of course, with Martin Green, a good friend of the show.
Not enough episodes. We haven't done enough episodes.
Not enough. Yeah. It's just finding the time where we can all get together, but we promise there'll be more Martin Green shows, and yeah, a bit more unplugged style as well. So really looking forward to getting some of those recorded next year. But an absolute legend and a real true friend, I would say, of
course,
of the podcast.
Of course, 100%. One other guest who's actually one of our best rating shows was Giles Ellis from Schofield, who I have met, and he is happy to come on again. I met him at the Time and Tide store at the London Watchmakers event a few weeks back. And what a fascinating guy. What an incredible guy. He can He can talk. That man can talk. He's a design lecturer at university, and his watches are all design focused. It's just unbelievable, the workmanship and the detail he goes through, and it's just again, that's another amazing show. Episode 19. If you want to give that a few more hits, because that, I mean, like I say, that's our top rating show, and we'd love to have him back on because he brings something different. So I think those are my favorite shows. The Genta show, what do you reckon?
Yeah, but a few joint picks. I think the Genta show was a top performer for us, but equally just a really fun show to do. Just digging into that topic. Also, that watch is still, speaking of watch goals, the original locomotive is one that's stuck in my head still as well. Yeah. So who knows? But yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
Episode 27, that was the Creedor locomotive, Genta's guilty pleasure. So give that a listen if you want. Give all the show to listen. As many as you can.
All a rerun. Yeah.
As many as you can, anyway.
Many great episodes. Yeah. It's too many to mention, but I think we've definitely touched on some of the highlights.
One last shout out to Pascal Deschaux of Angelus, who is the nicest guy I think I've ever met. The nicest MD of a watch brand I've ever met. Just such a gentleman and always happy to help. Even his team, the team behind him, are always, feedback they gave us from the show was incredible. And we're going to have him back on as well. We're going to have all of them back on. Everyone wants to come back on. It's just a matter of when. We've got other guests lined up for next year. It's just how we're going to fit them in. That's the challenge we have.
The demand is there.
Yeah, new guests. Yeah.
Yeah. We're very grateful for. Yeah. We just closing on the year, I guess. It's been a whirlwind, right? It just went mental after. It feels after Watches and Wonders, but even more so after Geneva Watch Days.
Geneva Watch Days was just, that
bonkers.
Was
Just, I think we did like
crossing the Rubicon moment. That was.
Yeah. We did like 4 episodes in 1 week and like doing it on lunch breaks and just, 2 in 1 day, I think we did as well.
2 in 1 day, yeah. It was just...
it was just nuts. Yeah, it was like the peak. And we were close to burnout, actually. There's been a few moments of burnout almost. We've avoided it just. There's been a few moments where I think the build-up to Watches and Wonders, with the amount of work it took to get there, and then with the flurry of guests, which was exciting, but also very, a lot of work. But we did it, right? So we're here.
We're here to tell the tale, yeah.
We are. So I think that's maybe all we've got time for this year, dare I say.
I think so. So, Andy, lead us out from Barcelona.
Yeah, so wishing all our loyal listeners a very Merry Christmas and happy, prosperous New Year. Hoping you all get some cool watch-related gifts, because you know what it's like. We always get something related to watches, right? But yeah, looking forward to the new year. Looking forward to sharing our thoughts with you all in 2025. But for this year, it is adios, hasta luego, and you'll hear me on the next one.
Did you say Merry Christmas in Spanish?
Oh, Feliz Navidad.
Oh, yes, that song, isn't it? Yeah, do you want to sing it for us?
Yeah, it's a song.
On the way out. So Andy singing Feliz Navidad?
Yeah, I will do if you want, but let me get another beer then.
A few beers. I think the listeners need a few beers before that.
Yeah, they need more than me, yeah.
Right. So, as Andy says, Feliz Navidad from Barcelona. From London, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to all the new listeners we've picked up during the year, and thank you for all the loyal listeners who've stayed with us from the beginning. It's been quite a roller coaster. It's been great. And for 2024, we'll see you and you'll hear us in the next one.